42. It's Hotstove Tonight.
And welcome back to the Hot Stove. And Elliot, we want to start at New Jersey.
Well, there's a lot of angry teams in the league this week about the fact that New Jersey's had some of its punishment rescinded for the Ilya Kovalchuk contract, and they're going to pick 30th in the first round now. And if you were at the top of the second thinking you may get a bit more of a chance to steal, you're upset. I think the teams that could face cap recapture upset. And as a couple of teams point out to me, it was an awful situation a few years ago with the Rangers when Sharapanov, their 17th overall pick, passed away, and they were given a pick that was 30 spots lower. And they felt that maybe that's what the league should have done, is if they wanted to help New Jersey, give them a pick later in the second round or something.
It just looks bad for the league, but this goes back to 2009. Everybody was circumventing the cap. I mean, it started off with the
not
league
everybody
investigating guys like Hossa. They were investigating guys like Savard, whose caps were kind of fishy, investigating Pronger. Remember that Pronger guy and his big contract? Well, they waited for their big fish to get on, and it was Kovalchuk. And when they got Kovalchuk and they took him to an arbitrator, Richard Block ruled that they didn't circumvent the cap, but the spirit of circumventing the cap was there. So what did they do? They fired Richard Block right away, okay? So the Players Association and the league came to some sort of a Kovalchuk term where this is the way long-term contracts would go. And the Players Association said, look, one of the terms you want is to whack New Jersey. Please don't whack New Jersey. And I don't think they should have, because what ends up happening now, another kid gets drafted,
now all these guys
there's
get
more
cap
money in the
recapture.
system, and they were all doing it. Looks bad on the league, but they were all doing it. So
I've always felt, Glenn, that there's Providence College has a huge influence in our game right now. Bob Nicholson with Hockey Canada, Lou Lamoriello in New Jersey, and, of course, Brian Burke.
I don't think it was for Mr. Lamoriello. I think it was for the new owners.
Yeah, new owner who didn't circumvent the cap, as most of them all did, and he doesn't even have the player.
Yeah.
Cut him some slack. Okay, your Providence thing, so let's go to Brian Burke. Brian Burke, he for years was talking about you've got to take money back in trades, and Brian, you're right. It worked. There was, on deadline day, 36 deals, and 11 of the deals, money was taking back. And the interesting one to me is the Montreal Canadiens. They were a team that had zero cap space. They were able to get Thomas Vanek. That's not a bad pickup. If salary wasn't taken back, no chance for Vanek. And Devin Dubik, this is interesting, because Nashville took half his salary, and then they flip him over to Montreal, and they take a little bit more. So Montreal only pays 25% of the salary. Look for next year at the trade deadline. If you see teams that can do that swap 3 times and take money back, cap space, then, boy, you can grab multiple picks in the draft. So trade the player with money for multiple picks a couple times.
Good for all.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Okay, well, it's crazy time there right now, and I'm a personal believer when things are going badly, you should always take a deep breath and relax, but there's some question about the ownership of the Vancouver Canucks. They have not sent out their ticket renewals yet, and I think one of the questions that's being asked internally in the organization is, if we send these out and we don't do something, are we going to get our renewals back? What's our number going to be? And I think that's the biggest question that's being weighed right now in Vancouver. Mike Gillis met with the ownership, I think at least a couple times before the trade deadline, saying, this is our plan. And I believe they were, from what I know, they were on board with the plan. But Ron, there's so much heat going on there right now. I wonder if things are changing. And I think that's the biggest question. If the ownership feels they don't make a change, will their ticket renewals suffer? And
lastly,
just a final one, quick one, just a note out of Minnesota. Word is that Chuck Fletcher is going to be getting a contract extension pretty soon.
Minnesota into Dallas for the Mike Modano sweater retirement. I have a hunch about Minnesota being a good playoff dark horse. Scoring champion Marty St. Louis on the other side of the break, Inside Hockey. Chat with Marty about the big decision he made to move to the New York Rangers. Coming up next.